and welcome to Business Live. For many of you, it's probably the first working day of the year 2014, but some probably have also been working throughout the holidays. Today on the show, we take a look at what the business community had to deal with in the past year amidst all the economic challenges. We also look at what is in store for them for the year 2014. I am Jahoyan, and Business Live is brought to you by Websoft Solutions, Beyond the Limits. Hello and welcome again. Now, Fortis private equity fund is now the legal and registered owner of 90% of shares of Merchants Bank. This is despite all the controversies that the deal has gone through, the latest being a request for a parliamentary investigation into the deal that fell through earlier on today. These stories plus more have been taking place in the business world. We bring you updates on the Business News Roundup.
The Petroleum Revenue Management Act (PRMA) Act 815 is to be amended to rectify some inconsistencies that exist in the current law 2.5 years after it was enacted. Some of the inconsistencies identified in the law include the calculation of the petroleum benchmark revenue and allocations to the Ghana Petroleum Funds, the Ghana Stabilization Fund, and the Ghana Heritage Fund, and annual budget funding amount, membership of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee (PIAC), and the qualifying instruments which Ghana Petroleum Funds should be invested in. The amendment would, however, ensure a smooth, efficient and transparent implementation of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. Ghanaians have been spared any imminent fuel price hikes as 2014 begins. The National Petroleum Authority maintained the prices of petroleum products in its latest price review. This is the second time in a row that the regulator has kept the price same. Petrol is still going for 219 pesos per litre, kerosene at 202 pesos per litre, diesel at 226 pesos per litre, LPG at 252 pesos per kilogram, and premix at 116 pesos per litre. Fortis Private Equity Fund is now the legal and registered owner of 90% shares of Merchant Bank. A statement signed by Clementia Jame, head of corporate affairs, Merchant Bank Ghana Limited, said this follows the full payment for shares of Merchant Bank Ghana Limited by the transfer of funds held at the Bank of Ghana into the operating account of Merchant Bank Ghana Limited. The statement disclosed to the general public that Fortis Private Equity Fund had now received the corresponding share certificates for its share subscription. The statement noted that the shareholding structure of Merchant Bank would have Fortis Private Equity Fund own 90%, SNET 8.96%, and SIC Life 1.04% shares. Investment analyst and head of research of the Gold Coast Management Fund, Samuel Ampa, says in spite of negative macroeconomic indicators in 2013, the capital market and foreign direct investments recorded positive growth. He, however, wants bureaucracies at the ports and in registering businesses addressed to ensure a good investments climate this year. Some traders in the capital say the best gift government could ever give to them in 2014 is to reduce the high utility tariffs and import duties. They claim the high utility tariffs coupled with high school fees were greatly affecting their livelihood. The Bank of Ghana has asked banks in the country to pay up to 5,000 Ghana cedis to third parties who present checks to them. This new limit is half the previous 10,000 Ghana cedis limit issued by the central bank in July 2013. The directive took effect from January 1, 2014 and does not apply to third-party checks that are presented for the credit of an account through clearing. According to the Bank of Ghana, the further tightening of the third-party over-the-counter threshold is to reduce the incidence of fraud and other malfeasance, and also to limit the scope for abuse of the banking system by criminals. The directive, however, does not apply where the payee is a drawer of the check.
When we come back, we'll be looking at how the business community fared in the last 12 months and what the prospects are for the next 12 months. Now, 2013 has been described as one of the most challenging times for Ghanaian businesses. Ghana fluctuated on the Global Competitiveness Index in that year, and as well as the Association of Ghana Industries Barometer quarterly report also said that Ghana is not as competitive as she should be. The utility tariffs hikes also played a big role in challenging the way we do business in Ghana. For a while, we thought we were going to see some 200% hikes in some of the utility tariffs, but government came in and bailed businesses out. But how have all these issues affected the outlook? How has it affected the way business was transacted last year? Even though FDI flows went up last year, some analysts feel that it could have been higher had we not had all these disruptions within the macroeconomic structure. Abigail Adumako-Entry has been speaking to some of these analysts to tell us exactly what went wrong in 2013 and what probably we could improve upon in 2014. She gives out the outlook.
Ghana's economy is still growing, and the business community plays a very important role in its growth. Now, for the community to thrive, they need a very stable, friendly and favorable environment to work with. 2013 has just passed, and we want to find out how easy it was for businessmen and women to do business. I'm here at the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'll be speaking to the president, Dr. Sete Jeba, to tell us his assessment of last year and his outlook for this year. You're very welcome to Business Live, sir.
Thank you, my sister.
Now, first and foremost, 2013 was a year full of issues, a number of economic issues. In summary, how would you assess the whole year for the business community?
Well, thank you very much. I think first we got to thank God for being able to take us through 2013. As you said, there were issues, there were challenges here and there. By the end of it, we were able to keep our heads above the waters. It means that all hope wasn't lost. We were able to go through successfully, and we believe that with that, we are going to position ourselves to see what we can do for our nation this year, 2014.
But how easy was it doing business last year?
Last year had a couple of challenges. From the 1 till the 8th month, we're having this court issue hanging on our necks, which of course people were watching, investors were looking up to how to come in. If you have people who were supplying goods and other things, they wanted to know exactly what was going to happen, because it has never happened before. Are Ghanaians going to accept the results? What will happen after the results is the verdict is given? These were all challenges, and it dragged on for 8 months. Investor confidence, a lot of things were a bit down, so it affected a lot of things. Until after August, people got to know that yes, this is Ghana, they are peaceful, they have gone through successfully. Just after that, it was getting to Christmas. If you are talking about manufacturing, not much could be achieved at that time, because people were concerned about importing things to come and dispose and make their money left and right. So in general, manufacturing was not doing very well, or we didn't do well in terms of manufacturing. But latter part of the year, I think trade, those who were into trade, even though some of them had their goods coming in late, some are even struggling to clear now, I think we kept our head above water, as I said. It was quite okay and peaceful. We did not, our members did not achieve the targets they were looking for. And we understand because of the situation we had. So all I would say is that it wasn't bad, it's not the best as well. But this year we believe that we're going to position ourselves, given the right environment, we'll be able to do a lot. Ghana is a destination. The case has shown to the world that we are very peaceful, we love our nation, and we always move forward.
Now, bureaucracies in registering businesses always come up as a challenge for you. How was that last year? I
can say there has been a very drastic improvement into that. Ghana now, we are right on top there. If you take Africa continent as a whole, we are doing very well. Businesses are registered within maximum of 5 days in Ghana, which I'm proud of, and it is happening.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. I hear a lot of businessmen really complain about this. I don't know if it's for some particular businesses that is so easy for them to register their businesses and also at the ports to clear their goods and all of that.
Well, there are a lot of things involved with clearing of goods here and there at the port. Normally when the goods are shipped, you are supposed to have a pro forma invoice. With a pro forma invoice, you got to go to the inspection companies so that they start working on the values before the vessel even gets to Ghana. Unfortunately, most people submit their bill of ladings and invoices when the vessel is already in Ghana. But if you had given it ahead of time, processes could take about 2 weeks to get all these things through. So by the time the vessel is in Ghana, you have your certificate to be able to go and clear your goods. Most people will wait till the container is here, get a pro forma invoice or the actual invoice, and add a bill of lading and go there to be rushing through things. When it happens that way, it's a challenge. I think even though things delay because of scanning and other logistic programs at the port, still some of the problem comes from the importers who fail to go through the normal procedures, and they want to do that at the last minute, and that affects a lot of things and delay the goods and create a lot of demurrage for them to pay. Yes, there are challenges at the port. We can't deny that. A lot of containers are stuck there. We have few scanners. I think we discussed this with authorities. Some 2 new more scanners have been purchased. So we are hoping that this year things are going to improve and the ease of clearing will be better than it was last year. Apart from that, we should also know that a lot of the landlord countries are dependent on Ghana, Burkina Faso, Niger, and other places to get their containers through. And we should be able to balance the two to make sure that we serve them and still serve our people. Yes, there are challenges. I think things are going well. A lot of structures have been in place. I'm saying that because I'm privileged to be on the Kapuha board, so I know structures put in place to address most of the issues this year. And I can assure people that clearing is going to be smoother and faster this year because a lot of structures have been put in place for them.
No, that's pretty good news. But let's still stay on last year. Looking at government's fiscal deficit, government was trying to address it in a way by introducing more taxes. How did that come through to affect the business community with the unexpected taxes?
With the business community, business thrives when we're able to reduce the cost of doing business. But when we are adding on to the cost of doing business, definitely we are crippling in a way businesses. So when government is introducing taxes, government should find a way to cushion the business community to be able to work efficiently, to be able to pay taxes. But those were the challenges that we're having. The cost of borrowing. Government is competing with the business people on the same market. The cost of borrowing is around 32–38%. So if you are borrowing along that line, how do you manage your business and get profit to pay tax on it? When the taxes are too much or too many taxes to be paid, then the business may also think of finding other ways to cut things, and doesn't help us in any way. So if you look at the cost of borrowing, it's not the only thing. Cost of fuel, electricity, water, all these things went up drastically in the year 2013. We need to work and transport goods from A to Z and other things. Infrastructural challenges. A distance of 1.5 hours from here to my village in Koko, I do it for about 2.5 hours because of the road network, the way it is. So if government had worked on it, I'll use less fuel, less time to be there. And if I'm transporting raw materials from Koko to Accra, I'll use less time, less fuel, and transport costs will definitely go down. So there are a lot of things that weighed against us. We are trusting God that this year, government will put a lot of measures to be able to help us to reduce the cost of doing business. Businesses thrive when they're able to make more profit. Out of the profit, they do expansion of businesses, and expansion of business goes with employment. So if we are not able to expand the businesses, we can't employ anybody. And we know the number of students that are coming out every year. It's quite a big number, but government cannot absorb them. How many people is government employing? About 600,000 out of 25 million. It's a private sector that has to absorb the rest. And the private sector should be supported, should be cushioned in a way to be able to expand their businesses and be able to absorb the people. When you talk about government helping the private sector to expand their business, people think, oh, but they are making their own money. They are making their own money, but they are absorbing the people from the economy to give them a lot of livelihood, some form of livelihood. These are the people who are paying the taxes. And out of taxes, we're able to do a lot of things. So for the businessman, yes, you are helping the person to expand his business by still giving back to the economy, to the people, to government.